Okay, what is up, y'all?
Here, I hope y'all had a really good time at Bob Ross. Super excited to have everyone come in. I know, like, between things, it might make you watch an ad or something. So I'm gonna just like chat for a couple seconds. Just to give everyone a chance to like get in here. That being said, if you want to get ahead, get started, we have this README right down here that I set up long in advance. But essentially, it kind of helps you get set up with downloading and installing software to make sure that we can run our workshop today. It will be a fun time. I made sure that even if you don't know too much about coding, you're still able to come along and join us. Unfortunately, we will not have a lot of doggos on this stream. I feel like it was a happy accident that happened last time, and I'm kind of sad that I did not get to happen again. But we'll try again at a future stream tomorrow. Hi, what's up, everyone? All right, so make sure that you go ahead and you check in right here. The README URL, that's right here. So just go to hackpack obg-template. I'll also type it if that helps. You get to hear the sound of my wonderful keyboard. I do not know if it's mechanical or not. I think someone suggested to find out I should just take off my keys, but I am not confident enough to do that. Okay. So yes, we are having a good time today. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of wait a little more for some time. But make sure that you check out this link. Shout out to everyone who just did Bob Ross. I caught the tail end of it, and honestly, it looked like such a good event. Looked like such a fun time. I saw everyone's artwork, and it was crazy phenomenal. I think I'm another Bob Ross later today. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. If you have like some kind of customized Flappy Bird, I would love to show it off at the end and have everyone kind of like give everyone some time to customize it as well. But stay tuned until the end so that way you can make sure to show off your work. Oh, there is another Bob Ross later, so make sure you go to that. I also, while we're here and waiting for people to trickle in, I also want to first shout out this one button short link. Oh, it's running away. But make sure you go to Hackpack one button to check in and get points for your guild. And while I'm talking about guilds, I'm going to shout a couple out. Okay. ES techies, it's like Eastern Standard Time techies. It's everyone who's in like the Eastern Standard time zone. They are such a great community. So if you're interested, if you live on the East Coast and you're interested in joining a guild, feel free to join them. I also want to shout out the what else? The developer student core thing. The DSC has to do with like Google developer students. I don't know too much about it, but it also seems like they're a pretty great community to be a part of. Of course, I have to shout out Lahaj Gang. They get a lot of love. Lahaj Gang is rocking it at #1 of the leaderboard. So I'm going to assume that this is a guild as well. Make sure that if you're just looking for guilds to join, honestly, join them. It's a great time to meet other people in the hacker community, and I'm honestly such a big fan. So small guild, that's what that C stands for: community, developer student community. Oh, if y'all are looking to kind of spill some of Lahaj Gang secrets, what we do is we like hop on a call together. So it's a guild event, and we also do a bunch of like speed running for points. So that's making sure that we check in for events. Okay, don't forget check-ins. If we get 45,000, then Ryan is going to go ahead and live stream buying a Lahaj, and he has barely left his house for the pandemic. So we definitely want to make that happen. We also will take that chance to do any challenges we can do relatively quickly and make sure that we're building up the points for our guild. I will not comment on this. Okay, so I want to make sure that everyone has had a chance to get to this link right over here. Okay, so this is basically going to be the template. I want you all to go ahead and just clone that repo if you have a chance to. This is basically going to make sure that we all start off on the same page. Okay, so if you look at the README, which I will, smartly go ahead and share my screen of as soon as I remember how to do this. Okay. Sorry, technology escapes me. So hard. Okay, I'm gonna make this smaller so it's easy to see. Okay, so essentially here is all of the here is all of the stuff that you should need for today. I also want to highlight that this is a fork of a GitHub that someone else made. If you're interested in like watching their tutorial, watching her tutorial, or looking at her original code, it's all linked in the README below. It's about an hour-long video. We'll be doing very similar code. It's just with a different twist. That way we're coding together based off of this template instead of just starting from scratch. Okay, so what I want you all to do to make sure that we can all start on the same page is make sure that you have Node.js installed. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry for anyone who's used to dark mode. I'll don't know how to change that quickly. So I guess everyone's going to enjoy light mode of GitHub, but make sure that you install Node.js for Node Package Manager. Essentially, Node Package Manager is just a very nifty thing that we'll be using to make sure that we have everything downloaded for this tutorial. Then in your terminal, you're going to make sure that you run npm install -g, that's mean global, Expo CLI. We're going to be using the Expo framework, which is like built off of React Native. If I will not be, I'm sticking my ground here. I will be sticking with light theme for GitHub. I like the brightness. That may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm here for it. Okay, so basically what we're gonna be using today is Expo. It's like a framework that's built off of React Native, which I think is also a framework. But if you've ever worked with React Native before, it's a, really great framework that allows you to do iOS apps and Android apps. And then Expo is just going to let us, it makes it a little more simpler for us so we don't have as much control, but it's really great for people who are just beginning, and it's actually recommended on the React Native documentation. And the cool thing about Expo is that we'll be able to run this on web, on iOS, and on Android. So I'll be showing it off today, primarily through iOS, but I'll also kind of show off the web a little bit too. This way, if y'all don't have emulators already installed for the iPhone or Android, you don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, if you do, then it's a good bonus. Okay. So okay. It says you're trying to download Node.js, but it doesn't want to. What does that mean? If y'all get any errors, just like pop them in the chat and we can work through them together. But I will need more descriptive error messages besides it doesn't work, because I don't know where to go off from there. This is a great, yeah, that's a good point. Anyone who's not happy with my light theme, just wear some sunglasses. It's a good time. Okay. So I wish if I had that much foresight. What I will be doing is we're going to be doing this just using like basic blocks. But if you're interested on using images and you want to get more creative with it, then I'll give everyone some time to like play around, make it their own, add whatever they like, and then have everyone show it off on stream. Okay. If anyone lives in New York City, in 2019, please let Adam know if you have his sunglasses. Okay, so I'm gonna, at this point, hope that y'all have at least gotten the README and had a chance to check it out and get started on this process. So after you've installed Node.js, okay, if it downloads and it sounds like you're on Mac because you use the word Finder, not File Explorer. So at that point, okay, let me share my whole screen with you. I know it's exciting. Okay, it's gonna be a time. So, okay, I'm sorry that my monitor is kind of big. So I'll try to zoom into things to make it easier for y'all. But here we are. Yes, I know my Mac users. Okay, I love using Mac, in case you can't tell. Okay, so what you're gonna go ahead and do here is, so number one, ceiling fan. I'm going to recommend that you do Control Space and you go to Terminal. If you do have Visual Studio Code, you can go ahead and use the terminal in Visual Studio Code, or you can just use plain terminal and go ahead and just type npm. Let me zoom in so that's easier for you. Way bigger. Okay, let's go ahead and do npm -- version. This is basically going to give you an opportunity to check, like, oh, do you have Node Package Manager? Because chances are you probably do if it's downloaded. And so if instead you get a number, if you get a number, you're all good. If you get a command, like module not found, command not found, then that means you don't have it downloaded. Okay. Adam's mentioning something on the Wahaj Gang server, and I can't let myself get distracted. I'm one track mind here, and this one track is for the one button game. Okay, for anyone who just joined, make sure that you go ahead and check in. It's hack pack one button. Okay, number one ceiling fan. If it gives you a number, that is fine. Oh, an error with the game. Okay, well, I guess let me check this out really quick. Let's see what's up. Okay. This is all good. Okay. So Adam, it is all good. Do not worry about it. 10% zoom on the terminal. Honestly, this terminal, let me focus on the code because that's what I'll be working on. So I'll try to zoom in as much as I can for y'all without it looking too trash. Okay, so what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go reference the README for the instructions. So after you've gone ahead and downloaded Node.js, go ahead and run this right here. This is gonna be npm install -g expo CLI. And then go ahead and actually make sure you do step 6 before you do step 4, okay? So you're gonna go ahead and do npm install -g expo CLI. If I do that, it should be pretty like normal. It's gonna look something like this. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out a little bit more. This is gonna be really hard to code on. But for you, it'll probably be something similar. And then I want y'all to go ahead and clone this repository. Okay, if you're confused on how to do that, there's a green button up here that says code, and it has this clone option right here, and you just go ahead and either you can open it with GitHub Desktop, which is something I like to do, or you can go ahead and do it in Terminal, or however you choose to do it. Okay. And if for any reason you're like, I don't know how to use GitHub, you can also just go ahead and download it as a zip folder. So that way you don't even need Git. All you need is just the code files. Okay, so it looks like I'm currently installing Expo CLI, so that's going to take a sec. It looks like we're about 1/3 of the way through. But this is also a perfect opportunity to go ahead and clone this repository now as well. Okay, and then after you get clone, again, this is the part where I messed up on the README. Make sure that instead of doing npm start first, go ahead and do step 6 before step 4, okay? Do step 6 before step 4. So for anyone who's confused, I got the README link right down here. Okay, and you know what? Don't worry about this point. It's fine. It'll work if you get these errors. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and npm install. This is going to make sure that I get any of the dependencies that are needed besides Expo CLI. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to bring this up so y'all can see the bottom. Okay, there you go. So while we're here, I would like to highlight some of my proud features that I have included in your assets. This is a great time to go through the code base. So we're going to ignore anything that's in .expo. That's going to be a bunch of stuff that we don't have to worry about. Doesn't really affect us unless, yeah, we're just going to ignore that for now. But that's basically just information that's going to be that Expo is going to take care of. What language are we using? That is a great question. So right here on the left, we have a bunch of JS files. JS stands for JavaScript. So we're using React Native, Expo, and that has that's built off of JavaScript. So we're going to be using that. Okay. So to kind of start off, what we have is this assets folder right here. So we have a bunch of beautiful photos that if you're looking to spice it up later on, you have things to choose from. We have this beautiful Blahage background, okay? It's also transparent, so you can put a photo, a color behind it if you're feeling spicy. We have Ryan writing a Blahage, which shout out to Adam for sending this via the Blahage Gang Discord server. If you're wondering how to get this terminal, let's see if you can see. So if you click your thing and you go up to the top, there should be something up here that says terminal. You can go ahead and click new terminal, and that's going to pop up terminal in VS Code. So, okay, then we have our beautiful splash screen. So let's get up to 45,000 check-ins. And then also, you know, for like favicons and things like that, we have Ryan writing Blahage, but in a square. So it's a little bit different. Okay. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now that, you know, I've cloned everything, I've installed my dependencies, I'm going to go ahead and start. So I'm just going to do something called npm start. Once I do that, it's going to run start and then Expo start, and it's going to do a bunch of things that Expo is taking care of that for me. Don't worry about it. If you have like your own terminal that you prefer to use, feel free. This is just something that may help you. Yeah, if you'd like to do something else with that, feel free. You don't have to use like the in VS Code terminal. Okay. Okay, so now we're getting a bunch of stuff. So what's really cool is once you run this in the terminal that like this QR code is in, what I'm going to do, you can either do A for Android, I for iOS simulator, or W to run it on the web. So #1 ceiling fan, go ahead and send me your error message so we can figure out how we can help you out with that. And I'm going to go ahead and type W so that way we can open it in a web browser. Okay. Scare, if you have a Mac, if you do command space and you type in terminal, you should already have a terminal in your Mac. Okay, so when you first open this up, it's going to take a sec. There's a lot going on. It's got to build. So you'll see it'll take a while. Once you get it up and running, it will, once you get it up and running, you should be good. In which case, if you have a Windows laptop, search for either PowerShell or, like Adam said, CMD, which I think you pronounce it like, what is it? You pronounce it like command. Okay. Okay, so to kind of show y'all what we have right here, this is our game. I'm kidding, it's not actually like our whole game. Also, #1 ceiling fan. send in like the error, like the main error message, like it'll say like error, maybe a number and like a 1-sentence message. And then also let me know at what point in your process that you're getting the error. Oh wait, you're fine then. No, you can do a CMD. You can just do what's the word? You can go ahead and just do like npm start inside that, as long as you have npm downloaded in your yeah, you should be good. Do the same commands that I'm doing, just instead do it in CMD instead of VS Code. Okay, so right here is our game. It has essentially nothing but a background because I've gone ahead and commented out all of our working code. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the branch that works really quick. And let's try that out. So you're about to hear a lot of clicking. So essentially this is what we have going on. It's a really simple blue box that goes in between a bunch of these columns. You'll notice that it falls with gravity, and if you can hear the clicking of my mouse, that is how we go ahead and jump. So there's a couple things that aren't implemented here. It keeps track of the score, but you don't know what your score is. When it's like game over, let me just show y'all. When it's game over, it just pauses, nothing else happens. There's a lot of different things that we can do here that I want y'all to try when we go through what the basics are. Okay, so let me switch back to what we'll be working on. Okay. If you have an error, let me know what kind of error you're getting. And also, if anyone has a Windows computer, that is not my expertise, so I appreciate it. You're on step 2. Step 2 means that, okay, so number 1 ceiling fan, make sure that when you are opening your terminal or your command prompt or whatever, make sure that you right click and you do right click and you make sure that you run it as administrator. You just might not have permission. For anyone who came late, we're going to be using JavaScript, and you can check out the README down below for more details. Okay. Why not? Okay. So let's see what this error message is. I'm going to hide this really quick so I can look at it. If you're new, go ahead and check out this README, and you can go ahead and get started. Let me edit this really quick for anyone who's just now starting to clone to make sure that y'all get the right order on things. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just commit the changes. Perfect. It is now in the right order. Okay. Verbose. Okay, I'm not seeing what the error is for this message. You're fine. Just ignore it. It happens. You're good. Okay. This message. Let's see if I got that. That might be. So when you do that bit, that might lead you, when you do step 2, it might lead you to like a bunch of like warnings. But go ahead and still like git clone and try doing npm install. Okay, so npm can't find a file. Let's do this the real programmer way, and let's look up your error message. Look up your error message right here. So it looks like it's pretty common. I'm gonna go on Stack Overflow. It also looks like Node has some instructions on their own page. But let's see. Okay, this might not be the best. So we're gonna comment error. Has anyone else seen this problem, especially someone on Windows? What check out this common errors doc and see if you can check it out right here. On the bright side, anything that I do, anything that I do is also on the GitHub as well. There is a working version. So if you ever find that like you're falling behind, or you're like, oh, I don't know what we just did, you can also look at the basic working version branch and go ahead and copy and paste and get caught right up. So if you're having errors with NPM, check out the common errors and see if debugging through that helps you out. Okay, so now we're here. I'm going to go through and kind of walk through a little bit more of what we're doing. So the basic structure of React or React Native or Expo, etc., is essentially you have this main file. It's called like app.js, or if you're using TypeScript, it's TSX. But you have this file, app.js. This is going to be the main file. So this file is kind of in charge of like all this logic. You're going to see that I have a bunch of things here, a bunch of comments with a lot of empty logic, because we're going to be working on that together. Okay, so we'll be working on this together. You'll see a lot of falses. But you'll also see something in this return right here. This return is essentially what is being rendered, what is going to be shown on the page. So there's something called a touchable without feedback. That is just something in React Native that is going to be something React Native that has to do with making sure that you're getting something's getting touched. Like if something's touched, what is it doing? That's what the on press is. So we're saying on press jump because whenever we touch this, whenever we click it, touch it, whatever, we want to make sure that it jumps. Okay, then what we have is a view. A view is very similar to a div if you're used to web development. And we also have these two components that are called a bird and an obstacle. Okay, this bird right here is your avatar, and this obstacle is going to be all the pipes. Let me check out what you're looking at, and we can figure it out together, because it looks like you're not the only one with that. Okay, give me 1 second. Pulling it up. Okay, so it looks like I do not have access to this page. So if you want to try resending it, did I type it in right? For BOGPX, or maybe that's an I instead of an L. Ah, yes. That is the game. Okay. That actually, surprisingly, is the game. If you're having that and you don't want that there, all you have to do, okay, all you have to do is, where did I put it? I think down here on another branch that I don't think let me go ahead and pull. So right here, you probably have something, like if you scroll down to the bottom of app.js, you probably have something that says like, oh wait, no. Sorry, that's with web development. Sorry. So in web development in CSS, you would have something called background image, but in React Native, instead of editing a view to have a background image, there's actually a component called image background. So as you see here, I have image background right here. All you have to do is comment it out. You can comment it out by just doing a curly bracket with like a slash and an asterisk, or my hotkey is Control/. But yeah, all that is it's working. It's just that you have a background. But go ahead and remove that for now, just so it's a little easier to focus on. So yeah, all you have to do is comment it out. And if you comment the opening tag out, make sure that you comment out the closing tag as well. Okay. So make sure that all works. Okay. Other than that, I've gone ahead and opened this up. And localhost 19002 is like this part right here. That's essentially like, I'm gonna say like the control panel for Expo, and then you can also click the buttons to run it instead of inside the terminal. Or I have the localhost 19006, which is the actual game. Okay. So, how are y'all doing so far? We're doing okay? We're doing dandy? I hope so. All right. So if at any point you need me to like go back, check over something, like let me know. And then try to give me as much detail if you're running into problems, just so we can make sure that we are on the same page. Okay, so now we're, oh, let me pull up terminal again. So now we're here, and now we're in app. So I was talking earlier about how we have two components, bird and obstacle. So essentially what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set up these components. If you think about it, like, what is it? How do I think about it as like ingredients. So you have app.js, which is your recipe right here. And your recipe is like, hey, here's all these like instructions. There's like the logic that we saw earlier that I'm scrolling through. But then we also have your ingredients right here. And your ingredients are bird and obstacle. If you go into the components folder, you'll find that if oh, okay, so I see that there is a problem commenting out image background. Make sure that you include this, make sure you include this view right here. And so just basically replace image background with the view as well. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and look at our components. What are these components? So if you go into the components folder, we'll first check out bird. So bird is essentially what is going to be what's going on. Let's kind of go over what's happening here. So first, we, of course, always have our imports. Imports are at the top. So we are importing React from React. This is basically giving us access to the framework. And we're also importing something called Vue from React Native. Vue, again, as I mentioned before, is like the React Native version of like a web div. So the way that React Native or Expo works is that they'll have their own versions of like tags. So a view in Expo gets translated to a div in the web. I forgot what the specific name for like iOS and Android is, but it translates to each like respective container. So this way, it's like React Native is this one common language, or common language is the framework that allows you to access all three: web, iOS, and Android. Okay, Scarlett, if you found the problem, let me know what the problem is, and we can figure out how to fix it. And also, if anyone else also knows the problem, you're very welcome to help out in chat, because I will be the first to say Windows is not my strong suit, so I appreciate any help that anyone can offer. But yeah, just send your problem in the chat and we can figure out how to fix it together. Okay, so next what we have is this const bird. This is just like a variable that says that's bird. Scarlett, if you have like any like documentation that like specifically says that, or maybe if you like know the problem, try like Googling it and then put Stack Overflow after it. That's honestly what I would be doing. So try that out. Okay, so we have const bird. This is just saying like we have a variable that we're never going to change. Const is something that we do in JavaScript. It's just saying like, hey, once you make this, it's never going to change. And then here we have a couple parameters that we're giving it in. These get fed to it from app.js. And then we have this arrow and these curly brackets. And then inside these curly brackets, we're going to give all the information for bird. Okay. And then what we have here are, we also at the bottom go ahead and export it. This makes it so it's accessible through app.js. Okay, so what we have here is we've already set in the width and the height of the bird because we're just making a square essentially. And then we also have a color. So now all we have to do is work with a little bit of CSS to make this square. Okay, so make sure that like send in like what happens if you try, if you have any errors, and we'll kind of work at this together with the help of chat and all these different hackers to figure out what we can do to make sure that you get to enjoy this workshop just as much as everyone else. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hide this comment right here, so that way I can make sure that y'all can see it as much as possible. Okay, so the way we're going to do this to get started with Bird.js is this is essentially just going to be a lot of CSS. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to get the background color. We're going to set it equal to bird color. So this is pretty similar to CSS syntax where it's just background color colon and then like, but now because we're doing it like this with the style, we can go ahead and just put the variable there. Then we're going to go ahead and do the width. We're going to use that same syntax where it's just the attribute name with the colon and the variable. And then we're going to go ahead and do the height as well. And then we're going to do something called position absolute. So this is going to make it so it always stays in this position of the screen and doesn't get moved for something else. Okay. So if you get this problem, chances are it probably has to do with this touchable without feedback. So make sure that you have touchable without feedback, then you have view, and then you have your bird and obstacle, all that, and then you end with a view and touchable feedback. Okay, so what this means right here is like your React components. A component is essentially each one of these tags. So there's a touchable without feedback component, there's a view component, there's a bird component, and obstacle component. For some of these, it requires you to have it all packaged up nice and neat into like one component. You need to have one nice wrapper. So touchable without feedback only works if you have one nice wrapper around everything. So then that's why we're doing view right here and making sure that we have this. Okay, if your view is not getting defined, then scroll all the way up at the top and you're gonna have this import. So components aren't something that's just like built into React. It's something from React Native that you have to call each time. So make sure that you do style sheet, text, whatever, and make sure you have view up here. You might not have view like already set in, okay? So make sure that you add view. So you say import view from React Native. Okay. Oh yeah, this is a good point. There's no indentation that you need to follow. This isn't Python. It's just so it looks better. And as long as you can read it, you're fine. What really matters is like that you have the arrow brackets. Okay. Okay. So if you're having problems with the package.json, when you, for anyone who's having the package.json problem, please feel free to like send like what the error is, and so that way we can figure it out. At this point, you should have a blue screen, okay? And if at this point, you should have a blue screen, and if you've gone ahead and made a square for your bird, you should have this light blue one up at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and change this to another color. I think I want pink. So I forgot how to do pink, but I'm going to kind of guess with some numbers here and see how this turns out. I made it gray. Oh, it's reloading. Oh, it's kind of like a light. Okay, let me try bringing this down, bringing this up a little bit more, I think. This is just a hex code for color, so if y'all are wondering. I think I made it a little bit more orange. Let's beef that up to 88. And then that's a nice pink color. I like it like that. Okay. So make sure that you've at least made the square, and then I'll go ahead and let y'all know how we can position it just where we want it. Okay. Ooh, a color highlight extension. I will check that out right now, actually. That seems like a tangent that I'm willing to go on. Okay, color highlight. Ooh, this seems kind of cool. I really hope I don't have to reload my VS Code, because if I do, I will not. Oh, yo, this is so sick. Thank you. Okay. Wow, that's pretty cool. Okay. I love learning everything new from this hacker community. This is related to NPM not being able to find a file. Look at something right here. Okay. So go ahead and make sure that you're running an admin and try to go ahead and reinstall Node. But what, Scott, I'm actually wondering, what are you running? Like, what are you running to get that error? Are you running npm start or npm install? Okay. And then for anyone who's still looking at this bird right here, we're gonna go ahead and reposition it so it's kind of like in that center left. And so we're going to use the bird bottom and bird left variables that we passed in from app. So we're gonna say left equals bird left minus bird, bird with 2. So this is basically saying like, hey, we're gonna take in this like bird left variable before from wherever the app told us we wanted to put the left-hand side of the bird, and then we're gonna go ahead and scoot it over like half of the bird, so it's like actually where we want it, because left has to do with the midpoint, or left has to do with like the border, not the midpoint. Okay, so that gets us in the middle of the screen because that's what we're starting at. And then we can also go ahead and do bottom right here, which is going to be essentially do the certain thing. So we're, instead of bird width, we're going to actually go ahead and split bird height. So that makes sure that, you know, we get to where it wants us to be. And then it counts that it's at the border. So we want it to be right in the center. So all you have to do is take off just half of the height, half the dimensions. Okay, I think that's the problem right there. Make sure that you're checking out the README. So at this point, make sure that you go ahead and git clone the repository. I'm going to assume that you've already npm installed -g expo CLI, and then you make sure that you git clone the repository, and then make sure that you go inside this new repository, okay, and then do npm install and go ahead and then start. Okay, because chances are it probably can't find the package.json file because you don't have one. It looks like you're in your home directory instead of the code directory. So if you're getting an error with not being able to find package.json because you're looking at this, you're doing npm start, then go ahead and try cding into the code. You are not dumb. It is honestly a very valid thing to do. You're good. How are you declaring key like position left, bottom? Okay, so what do you mean determining key? So if you're wondering where we're getting like the left and the bottom, there's something here called we kept the left at the direct center because that's where we always want the bird. We always want it in the center of the game. And then we have this this use state right here, which I'll go into further, which is essentially our way of saying like we essentially want to be able to move this bird bottom around while it's on the screen. So, but we're starting out with it being right in the dead center. And then later, if you scroll down and you look at the bird component, you'll see that you'll have bird bottom equal to that variable up at the top, bird left equal to that variable up at the top as well. And then when you go into bird, you'll see that we went ahead and got it right here. And then we're going to go ahead and just utilize that right down here. Okay. Style properties to a value. Okay. Style prop. Okay, so make sure that while you're doing this, make sure that you have double curly brackets, okay? You have, you make sure that something like position is not in quotes, okay? It is not in quotes. You do the colon, and then the only thing that should be in quotes in this section is this absolute right here. That's it. And so then now, at this point, we have something just in the center of our game. That's it. Okay. So next, we're going to go ahead and look at, you copy this view to avoid typo. Let me actually go ahead and send y'all the completed code. Okay, that is the completed code for the bird component. So if you're having a typo or things like that, go ahead and just copy and paste it. Okay, next we have another component that we need to cover. We did the bird, we did our avatar. Now we have to do our obstacle. So if you notice, it's the same thing here. We have a bunch of things going on. This is already predefined in app.js, or we will predefine it later. So we're going to go ahead and just add some things to the view right here. So similar to the bird, we want to make sure that the position is also absolute. Okay, this is something that we're going to do for both of these. Then I'm going to go ahead and just code them one until we reach the differences. Then we want to make sure that we have the same color. So just like we did with the bird, we're going to specify the background color and give it whatever the color was. Remember, the color is defined up here. Okay, then for the width, we're just going to give it the obstacle width. And then for the height, we're just going to give it a height of 500. This is just something that works. You can play around with it if you want, but I highly recommend starting out with 500 right now. You'll see that it's right here on the side. Okay, then to kind of remove this so it's not just like in the, what's the word? So it's not just like on the left. You want it like coming at you. We're going to go ahead and give it left, and we're going to say obstacle left. Okay, then what this is going to do, that's going to move it all the way to the left, which is off the screen for us. So you're going to have to like trust me on the rest of this. Then we're going to say bottom is just gap location. So this is like where we want the gap between the two pipes. The obstacle height, which is basically saying like to adjust for however long that the bottom pipe is going to be, and then the gap. So it's making sure that we're leaving space in between. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to copy and paste this essentially. Okay, and the only thing that we really have to do here, or actually, is I'm actually going to change this to obstacle height. And then I'm going to make sure that instead of obstacle height gap, we just want it to be gap location. So that's just saying like where exactly we want it. And because it is the bottom pipe, we don't need to account for the obstacle height or the gap or whatever. Okay. So at this point, you're going to have to trust me. if we open the screen really quick, you can kind of see it right here. So yeah, I'm also going to change this really quick to be obstacle height. Why I had it as 500, not sure. So you can see that right there. Oops. So it's all good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make it smaller so it's easier to see for all of us. Okay. So that's what we have as of now. Okay, now what we're going to go ahead and do is we have our bird, we have our obstacle, and all we have left is making everything move. Okay, so we're kind of going to go through this in order as much as we can. So let's kind of go with, let's go ahead and let's make this jump. Okay, so by saying jump, that's essentially going to make sure that the bird gets moved up. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something like super smooth or something. It's just the bird, the avatar, this pink square, just has to get moved up. So the way we're going to do it is something I want to mention is we're going to go to this jump constant right here. Okay. And after if true, we'll change that later. After if true, we're going to go ahead and press enter. We're going to add a little bit more about what we're going to do. Okay, so here, if we want to jump, then we want to go ahead and say that the bottom moves up. So one thing I want to mention up above is that we have this thing, bird bottom, called use state. Use state is essentially like a React hook that allows us to update values as the app is running. So instead of like using some API to like fetch a value, we can go ahead, instead of starting with a default value and sticking with it, we can go ahead and use state to make sure we're staying up to date as much as possible. So the syntax for that is we go to jump. We're going to go ahead and say, we have bird bottom, which is the variable that has the information. And then we have this function called set bird bottom, which allows us to edit bird bottom. So we're going to go down and we're going to say set bird bottom. And the syntax for this to make sure that we're able to change things is we're going to do bird bottom. We're going to do an arrow. And we're going to say bird bottom. Oh, why did that make me tab? We're going to say bird bottom. And then give it some kind of arbitrary pixels to go up. I'm going to stick with 5. I feel like 5 is good. Okay, so it's going to reload, and let's see how this works. So if I'm going to go ahead and click right here, I'm going to click in the same spot just so you can see like how it's moving. Is now it's just going all the way up. I'm going to go ahead and click on my laptop so you don't have to hear the annoying clicking noise. And it's going to go up and up and up and up and up until, oh, look, it's now no longer on the screen. And it's never going to come back down. So what we're going to go ahead and do is add another if statement to make sure that this only happens when we want it to, when it's not quite at the top of the screen yet. So we're going to say if bird bottom is less than screen height. So what this is doing is bird bottom, again, is the bottom of our bird. And then screen height is something that we have determined up at the top that basically gets the height of our window. Okay. So let me, where'd it go? Okay, so this is where it's at. So this is basically saying, if you're wondering how to remove the Blahaj image, all you have to do is, there's 2 things. First, replace image background with views style, and make sure that you replace the closing image background tag with the closing view tag. Then after that, you're going to go ahead and scroll all the way up to the top and make sure that your import your import from React Native has Vue inside of it. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and go back to this. Okay, so what you can go ahead and do is you can say bird bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and add bird height. So this is basically saying like once I get to the oh wait, never mind, this is not, yeah. So basically what this is going to say right here is if I just stick with bird bottom is less than screen height, it's essentially going to, okay, it's essentially going to go up and it will let me go until the center is at the top. So this way there's like a wall, it's getting stopped. If you want to add an image, that's something that we'll do at the end. We can look up how to do it and figure out what makes sense best for our game. Okay, so now we can go ahead see that it jumps. But another thing that we want to do is it jumps, but it never falls back down. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go figure out how to add gravity. So this is another thing that is super cool that React can do. There's something called the use effect. So use effect is essentially something that's going to, it's a function that's going to keep getting called depending on its dependencies. So something to notice here is I have 0 down here. This is where we put dependencies. So it's basically saying, hey, whenever this value in here is changed, then go ahead and call this use effect, call this hook. So I'm going to put down bird bottom really quick just so we have it. I'm also going to console.log, I'm going to say called, just to kind of give us something. I'm also then going to go ahead and inspect the page so I can open up console log. Okay, as long as wish this would keep moving. All right, so we'll see console log and we'll jump. And you'll see that now jump is being triggered, okay? So it's not something that's happening constantly, and it's not something that never happens. So it only happens when bottom is changed, so when we jump, as of right now. But now we're gonna go ahead and try to add some kind of falling action, some kind of gravity, because you wouldn't have Flappy Bird if you keep flying up and up and up, you need to come down at some point. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is after we've put bird bottom as a dependency, we're going to scroll up and we're going to see this right here. So it's basically saying we have this first if statement similar to the jumping and stopping at the top. We're going to say if bird bottom is greater than 0, which means it's, you know, above the bottom. So you don't want it to keep falling off the screen. So then we have something called the game timer ID. This is basically just setting an interval, setting some timer that every 30 milliseconds, something happens. So similar to how we set bird bottom to go up by adding 5, we can set bird bottom to go down by subtracting a number. Just because this is something that's going to happen pretty much as long as you go through the game, I'm going to make it a smaller number. I'm going to put down like 3. Okay, and then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to make sure that we go ahead and clear, oh, it fell. Then we're going to go ahead and make sure that we clear the interval. This is just to make sure that we just don't take up a bunch of space, because it's not like there's necessarily like anything important happening here, but there is data that's being stored. So we're just going to put in game timer ID. Okay, so it's going to load, and it's going to do. Then we're going to go ahead and refresh. So you'll see that I'm clicking, I'm struggling to keep it up. So this gives me a pretty good cue that I should increase the jump. So I'm going to increase my jump to 10. It's going to reload. And do. Now I can kind of keep up. So now I can fly up. Sorry, there's a lot of clicking going on. Okay, That's the point of a one button game. It's going to be a lot of one button. For me, that's a click. And you'll see what's going on is you have that jump triggered right there. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and just remove this console log. We don't need it, so why keep it? And at this point, now we've gotten the bird to move. We have some kind of gravity, as y'all keep seeing as my page reloads, and we have some kind of jumping mechanism, which we do by touching. Okay, to do, what is next? Next, what we have to do is we have to make sure that these obstacles move. Okay, we want to make sure that, something is happening. We're running into something. And so we're going to do similar to how we got the bird to fall down, just a continuous down. We're going to go ahead and find something to make the obstacles move that way. Yeah. Sorry, mirrored images are always so hard to work with. Okay, so what we have here is we have this use effect right here. We have a bunch of comments. So pretty similar to how we got the bird moving, we're going to go ahead and do that kind of same thing, but with the obstacle. So instead of, so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to first check to see if the obstacle is off the screen. This is something that you probably won't just guess what the variables are, but we have two obstacles that we'll be using. We'll be using obstacle A and obstacle B just to keep the game like constantly going. So it doesn't have to, so that way it's just not one pipe and then it goes off the screen and then a new pipe. We have two that kind of follow each other to kind of be more of a continuous conveyor belt. Okay, so if the obstacle is off the screen, that's essentially saying like, hey, is the left side of the obstacle, so we have a variable called obstacle A left, is that greater than the width? So they're basically saying like, is the obstacle off the screen? Then what we're going to go ahead and do, very similar to how we did the gravity, is we're going to set the same kind of interval, and it's also going to be at, we're going to set the same kind of interval, and it's also going to be at 30 seconds. So I'm just doing the spacing because this is just what typically is easier to read. You can do it however you want. So this is happening every 30 seconds, but what's happening? Essentially what's happening is that you have something called an obstacle A timer ID. This is similar to our game timer ID, which is, that's up here. And then you're setting that interval, and then all you're saying is, just like how we set that bird bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and type set, we have something that's called set obstacle A left. This is going to be like, this is essentially helping us move that obstacle. We're gonna go ahead and set it so that way, just like the bird bottom, we're gonna do this syntax with the obstacle A left arrow, obstacle A left. I'm gonna go ahead and change it by the game speed. So the game speed, I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all, is the game speed is something that we've determined earlier, and then this is basically the speed of the game. I just made this so this is, I made this so it was possible for y'all to see what's up. You want me to push the code to the repository so you can see if we miss anything. Yeah, sure. Okay. Let me go ahead and I'm just not gonna label these. That's not good practice. You should label them. Moving obstacles. Okay, so this, at this point, if you pull, you should have it a little bit up to date. Okay. So now the thing is, we also want to make sure that as well as getting it moved, we want to go ahead and we want to go ahead and make sure that we're emptying this as well. This kind of keeps things a little neater for us. So we're going to do that clear interval just like we did before, just so we can save space and our game doesn't get super slow. This isn't too important as of now, but it's something that's going to matter if you have larger and bigger games. Okay. And if you notice, now that I've done that, now this also moves as well. Okay. So now, now we'll notice that we kind of have Flappy Bird here, but by Flappy Bird, I mean we have pipes and we have a bird, but nothing works. So the bird can run into the pipes and it doesn't matter. So if I click, literally, who cares? So what we're going to go ahead and do is set up collisions. This is going to be collisions for just that first pipe. So cleared instance interval. Okay, I'll try to stay as up to date with the commits. Please remind me if you need me to push. Okay. So then we're going to go ahead and go to this part that says check for collisions. So what I have kind of set up right here is that we have this variable obstacle A at center, and we're supposed to set it to some kind of Boolean. So what does it mean to have the obstacle A at the center? Okay, so to have this at the center means that we're going to, it means that the left-hand side, okay, the left-hand side is greater than half minus the width of your obstacle. So it's saying like your midpoint is, you're saying like you have the left-hand side on the left part, and that the and that the left is also as well right in the middle. Okay, so this is just making sure that the center is at the center. Okay, so you're making sure that the left is greater than the middle plus like half, so that's an actual center, or you're making sure that it's less than the center plus half of the obstacle. So like it means that if it's greater than and it's less than, it must be equal. Okay, so we're just going to do it like that. At this point, the way that this logic is going to work is what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and check to see, hey, is this obstacle at the center? Because that's where the bird is. If this obstacle is at the center, then we need to go ahead and check out, like, is the bird at the top of the pipe or at the bottom of the pipe? And we need to make sure that it's all good. Okay, so then what we're going to go ahead and do is this part might be a little bit confusing, but we'll work through it. We're basically going to say, let's check to see if the bottom of the bird, okay, that's the only thing that we can change. Make sure that the bottom of the bird is either at the bottom of the bird is above the gap, so at the top of, like at that top pipe. So the location for that, if you remember from when we made the obstacle component, is just the start of the gap plus the height, and then also making sure that it's whatever the width is. So this is just making sure, like, oh, is it running into the top up ahead? Okay, so jumping is really hard in this game. So to kind of help out with that, I'm also going to bump up jumping just to prove the point. Okay. So that should reload. Okay, this is going to be a lot of clicking. It's going to be a good time. Ooh. Okay, so basically what happened is now, I should make it so we can print so we can see what happens. So did you actually? If bird run into top. You know what, we're just going to keep coding and then we'll get it working at the end. Okay, so essentially now what we've had is we have it run into the top pipe here. Okay, now what we're going to go ahead and do is check to see if it's run into the bottom pipe. So again, we're going to look at bird bottom, but instead of checking to see like if it's less than a certain amount, we're going to check to see the opposite. Is it greater than a certain amount? And so it's basically going to be that gap start plus obstacle height plus gap minus obstacle width divided by 2. So this is basically just getting these together, to make sure like, oh, we have these two variables now. We check to see if the obstacle is at the center. And if the obstacle is at the center, the bird is also at the center. And if the bird is on the top half of the screen, that the pipe is as long, or is at the bottom half of the screen where like the pipe is as long, then there must be a collision. So what we're checking here is we're saying we have collision A, that's like, oh, the bird ran into top A, or the bird ran into bottom A, and then if it's at the center, then you're going to go ahead and say game over. So if you see here, you should be at the point where, you know, we're running into a bunch of stuff, okay? And it's saying that game is over, okay? So make sure everyone's at this point. Collisions are counted. Okay, the only thing about this that I find wrong is that the game actually, though it says game over, it's still going, okay? It's still going and still counting the score. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is you're gonna see game over. Game over actually calls a function right here. And luckily enough, that function is right down here. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna make it so that we clear all the timer IDs and also make it so that nothing moves. So to start out, we're just going to make it really, really clean and simple. We're just going to say, clear interval, just like we did up here. And we're going to do that with the game. Let me look up the game timer ID. We're going to do that with the obstacle A timer ID. And then we're also going to do something, we're going to make a Boolean. Well, the Boolean's already made. It's called is game over. And we're going to go ahead and set that to true. So essentially, we're just going to say true. So what this is going to say is we have this Boolean now that says it is game over. So what we can do is now we can say, hey, if it's game over, don't do these things. So if it's game over, don't make it so we can jump, okay? Because right now we have it where we have it so the obstacles will stop moving, but we want to make sure that we're not allowed to jump because we don't want to be able to do anything at this point, okay? So then what we're going to go ahead and do is just change this to say if not is game over and. So this is basically saying like, hey, if the game isn't over, you can go ahead and do game over. That's a good idea that I would love to see y'all to do at the end to make the game your own. I think we are actually, yeah, we're pretty much done with the basics. Okay, so basics working. We're done with the basics right here. What I want y'all to do is take this time to kind of make it your own. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to add a second obstacle. It's essentially the same thing as obstacle A, except all the variables that need to be different are called obstacle B. And then I'm also going to implement levels. So what I'm going to do, y'all, is we have about 40 minutes left of this workshop. I want to leave 15 to be able to show off different people's games. So I want you all to spend the next 15 minutes to kind of make this your own. If you do have to head out and sleep because it's 4:30 in the morning, feel free. But if you want to stick it out and try to learn how you can make this game your own, please do. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of make my own as well, except mine's like a little bit built in. So if at this point, if you want to kind of like go and do your own thing, you are welcome to. I would love to see backgrounds. I would love to see avatars, and I would love to see maybe like levels and things like that. If anyone's wondering how to do an avatar, look up how you can have either an image background or an image in React Native. Okay, this is a time for y'all to kind of go and learn what you want to learn. Adam, why is yours completely broke? What happened? What? Are you good? If you're having problems, if you go ahead and pull from Git, I'm also updating the GitHub with everything that I have. Okay. Wait, are these dogs? Bonus points if you incorporate dogs into your Flappy Bird. I love to see that. Okay. Adam, I'm not sure what you missed, but again, if you want to just get pull, you should have everything. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and set up obstacle B. So I'm gonna make sure that obstacle, I'm gonna make a second obstacle here. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this right here. I'm gonna change it so it's a cute color, so purple. Gotta love purple, got Barney colors. I'm gonna change everything that says A here, and I'm just going to say B. Okay. So nothing's gonna like show up because it's not set up yet. Okay, so after we make the component, it's also important that what else do we need this to do? We need it to move, okay? So then I'm gonna go find this use effect. I'm literally going to copy this. Okay, I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it right there. And all I'm going to do is replace all these A's with B's. And yes, there are probably faster ways to do this. Am I gonna do them? No, I've already started. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this all to B's. Okay. Okay, let's see if this is going to pop up. Okay. Oop. No, for some reason it's not working. So we're gonna go ahead and debug that. Okay. So let's make sure everything, I'm gonna clean this up so it's a little better. I'm referencing my old code because that's what we love to see. I made sure to clear the interval. Dependency is B left. And then what I'm also going to do is let's make sure everything here is right. I'm changing it to yellow because I feel like yellow is going to pop out more. I don't think that'll actually do anything to make that big of a difference. But if we play this, then I'm going to also then go ahead and also check for collisions. Okay, so this game is a little bit broken right now because I'm doing so much with it, but that's what we're working with. I'm also going to go ahead and make sure that I'm clearing the interval for obstacle B timer ID. Okay. So it's going to go ahead and refresh. Let's see how this works out. Okay, so it stops letting us jump and it stops moving. It stops moving the bird. But let's figure out why we need this to work. Okay, so if we scroll through, we're moving the bird, we're jumping, and then we're jumping, and then we're checking. Oh, first we need to check also, we need to make sure we need to make sure that this only happens if the game is not over. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add those curly brackets around that and make sure that we do that. Okay, so now that I've added in, that should stop moving. Ooh, looks like I had an error in my syntax. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and check to make sure everything here is dandy. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and try running into this. Looks like it gamed over and it stopped moving. Okay. So now what we're going to go ahead and do, we have no more, nothing else is on the screen, it's just stopped. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to introduce a, oh, here's the error that I goofed. When I tried to make the B variables, I didn't change all of the A's into B's. I just changed some of them. So now it's important to make sure that we update everything that we say we will. And let's see if this works. Oh, now we have the second obstacle. But look, the collisions don't matter because we have not done anything with that. So we want to make sure that we do the same thing for these collisions. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to copy and paste all of this again. Again, it's the same kind of logic. And I'm going to paste it. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take this, I'm going to find and replace all like the capital A's. Okay, I'm not going to find and replace all of them because not all of them are correct. But I'm going to replace them as it fits. Okay, this is me doing it faster now. Okay, okay, so I'm just gonna make all that B. And then now that we have collision B here, I'm gonna say or collision B. And now we should have collisions working for both of these. Okay, so now I'm going to let it fall into this pipe. Looks like the game is over. Okay, that sucks. And so now we have these game over. What else do I want to do? Maybe what do I want to do? I've already made a second obstacle, so I'm going to get rid of that comment right there. Maybe I want to, instead of having a view, I want to add a blahage background. So lucky for me, I already did that. Okay, I already did that. And what we're going to do is at like 7:30, we're going to have everyone kind of get back together. Okay, so now the blahage background is loading, and now we have a Flappy blahage. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of clicking because the number one way to test your game is to play your game. And I want to make sure that everything is working because, as y'all probably know, just because your code was working the night before does not mean that it's working now. So I'm going to go ahead and run into this. It looks like I have a score of 5. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So now what I want to go ahead and do is, is there anything that y'all want me to try doing? Because otherwise I'm going to try working on some levels, but I'd love to hear it from y'all. Okay, so make the bird of image. Okay, so we're going to see how this goes. Yeah, we're going to see how this goes. So instead of a view, I'm going to make it not an image background, just because that would make it easier for me. Just because those are easier to transition to, because essentially an image background is a view, but with, you know, an image. Okay, so you change image background, and at this point you do like, you give it a source, and the source should be a URL. So if I remember, I think the syntax for this is require, and then I need to give it the file path. So if I'm in the components file right now, I need to get out of that, go to assets, and then do Ryan writing a blahage.png. Okay, let's see if this works. Check it out. Here we have Ryan writing a blahage. I'm going to change the ratio a little bit to make sure that it doesn't cut him off. So instead of like I'm going to make the width, ooh, I tested this out earlier, where 1.75 was the sweet spot. I don't feel like I can do math right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just do 50 times 1.5. And now here we have Ryan writing a blahage as our Flappy Bird. So really adding an image is as simple as that. Okay, so then we're just gonna go ahead and let Ryan fall. Okay, there we go. He crashed. It's okay. It's okay. We do love a good blahage though. Okay, so at this point, I also kind of want to change my obstacles to look a little bit more blahage-y. I think I want the background color to be yellow, so it pops. But I want the obstacle to be, oh goodness, what is, I feel like red is a blahage color. And then what else? Red and white would be blahage colors. And so these should update in just a sec. So now we have our Ryan writing a blahage going in front of a bunch of blahages with a yellow background, and red and white obstacles. What's also really cool is, I know that we have been doing this through the web, but I kind of want to show you what it looks like if we do iOS. I can do it without the pink background. I just don't know how easy it will be to see behind with the blahages. Okay, so my computer is going to go real slow in a sec. So I'm going to exit out of this really quick. And I'm going to go ahead and try to open this on an iOS simulator. I have not tried live streaming and opening on iOS, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, so here is my phone. Okay, so the really cool thing about Expo is that actually Let's see if my phone's about to die, but let me see if I can actually pull it up on my actual phone. Okay, I'm not gonna do this on the screen, just because I can tell that it's not having a good time right now. Okay, so what's really cool about Expo is that I've worked with it before, so I have this Expo app right here. Okay, I have this Expo app right here. So what I can do is I can see like what am I working on, like that's on the same Wi-Fi network. So I have an Expo account, so I can sync up. And so I'm gonna open this project. I'm gonna show you all. Okay. Oop. It's downloading, so it's gonna take a sec. Okay, here's my splash screen. I know my phone's about to die, and that's okay. I'm coding with y'all, and that's all I need. So this is a splash screen. We're trying to get Ryan Swift to buy a Lahaj as long as we get 45,000 check-ins, so make sure that you check in. This is going to stay up for as long as it's building. It's at like 98% right now, so ideally it builds sooner. Okay, I don't want my phone to die. Okay, okay. Okay, oh, he died. Okay, so what I can do is I can shake it because this is on developer mode, and shake it, and I can reload. Playing a game while trying to show, oh, I died again. So that's the hard part. But what you can see is it's on my phone right here. You can see my ring light, but you can also see tiny Ryan on a Blahage with a Blahage background on the pipe. So if you're ever looking for some kind of framework that works really well for web, the web's in beta still, or iOS or Android. I actually, over the winter, I actually had a chance to work on an app that used Expo that is on the App Store, on the Google Play Store, and has like over 4,000 customers. So, okay, if you're in the app, so this might take a little bit more than what I can talk about right now, but you should have a you need an Expo account. So once you get an Expo account, I think you can just make one on the local host. But once you make the account, let me go back to the screen, go to home. I have this Expo Go app. And the really cool thing about Expo Go is that you'll see all like my past projects, but you'll see recently in development. So if you have it running on your computer where you're coding, you can wirelessly like open it up. So all you have to do is make sure you're on the same Wi-Fi connection, make sure that that what you're coding on is on the same account, and that what you're coding is on the same account, and then you're on the same Wi-Fi connection, and it should just say recently in development, and then you can open that right here. So yeah. And if you need like the developer menu when you're on iOS, at least, all you have to do is shake, and it will say reload, go to home, disable this fast refresh, or this fast refresh, and all these different options here. How do I log into Expo online? It's been a sec. I think you'd be able to click I don't know if you have a profile button, but check to see if you have a profile button. If you do, then that will be where you find everything. Oh, on your Mac. Huh. That's a good question. I think I did this because I think I made an account through the app on my laptop simulator. But let me look up Expo developer account. At that point, I would just say Google it. Check out expo.io on how to get set up, and that should be able to take care of anything that you need with getting it set up. So expo.io. Okay. Ooh. So that's just me looking it up right there. So yeah, that's what we have so far. Does anyone hold on, let me go ahead and turn on DMs. So that way, if anyone wants, go find me in the Discord server. I'm Mara from MLH, and DM me if you want to show off your code, okay? So DM me if you want to show off your code, and then I'll go ahead and actually send you a link so you can hop on the stream with me, be a part of Local Hack Day, and yeah, maybe we'll see about some points. So if you want to hop on, show off your game, show off how you made it your own, I would love to see it. That being said, while we're doing this, I am going to look up how to submit things for challenges, because as a coach, I have not had to submit things for a sec. Okay, so I'm gonna go open this right here. I'm gonna do this so everyone can see what I am doing and do this. Adam, have you tried pulling from Git? If that still isn't working and you want to have the opportunity to try to make it your own, there is a basic working version branch that you're also welcome to try out. I'm going to go ahead and remove the Blahaj background, just because that makes it a little bit hard for it to load. It's a little rough on my computer. And then I'm going to go ahead and push this. So if anyone else wants a cartoon Ryan writing Blahaj as your avatar, you have the chance. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that. Avatar writing. Okay. So now what I'm also going to go ahead and do is there are challenges. Okay, so for today, if you go to local hack day challenges, you're going to go ahead and scroll down and see that there's daily challenges. You can find the create a one button game, which is, we did Flappy Bird, which is just one button game. And then we're going to go ahead and submit our hack on day 5 dev post. Okay. I will do that later because I need to log in and everything. But what we'll also be doing is we're going to go ahead and add it into the, we're going to go ahead and add it into our Play My Game channel. Okay, so sorry, this is the bougie, this is the bougie admin view. Okay, so that's going to see all of our different guilds. I cannot see the Play My Game channel, so what we're going to go ahead and do, if anyone can point it out for me, is instead I'm going to show off. I'm going to show it off in the Blahaj gang. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and share with my guild. I'm going to say, if anyone wants to try out a Ryan writing a Blahaj, or let me go, yeah, Ryan writing a Blahaj Flappy Bird, check out github.com/marleyhart/ what do I call this? One button game. Okay, but I'm going to make sure that I actually submit my link by making sure that it says HTTPS. Okay, so if anyone wants to try out that Ryan game, we can try it out. I'm also going to go ahead and submit that into share your hacks, just because it is a hack and I'm not seeing the game channel. So shout out to Adam. Okay, so if y'all have your own version of Flappy Bird, pop it into this channel. That way we can all check it out. Okay. But other than that, I think that is it. if anyone wants to show off their work, you are welcome to DM me on Discord. I'll keep it open right now, but other than that, it's been a great time getting to see everyone, or I guess chatting with everyone, and hopefully y'all have a Flappy Bird clone of your own that you can share with your friends, your family, or just enjoy yourself. All right. Other than that, I will. Does anyone have any last minute questions before I leave? I want to mention that we do have Bob Ross soon. Actually, let me go ahead and pull up the schedule so I make sure that. Let me go ahead and pull up the schedule so I can make sure to let you know what's coming up. It's Thursday. We have Bob Ross at 9 p.m. tonight. So if you missed it earlier today, right before this this live stream, make sure that you come to the 9 p.m. one, and then make sure that you submit to DevPost. If you haven't already, I don't know if you can still, but try to check in if you can. It's great for having, it's great for earning guild points, and then go ahead and tweet me if you have a game you would like to show. Yeah, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes Android works by different rules with iOS, and I primarily do iOS, but it should still work on web. And if you look up certain things, if you find that certain things are working on iOS but not Android, Stack Overflow is really great for filling in those gaps. Okay. So again, if you want to join stream last minute, let me know. Other than that, we can go ahead and head out. It looks like one person wants to come join. So we are going to welcome a fellow member of the Blahaj gang, also Melon Squad, or our April Fool's Prank Pineapple Party. Adam will be joining us very shortly to kind of show off his own style of Flappy Bird and what he thinks is his ideal one-button game. So just kind of as a recap, if y'all are looking for how to get this code, you can also check out this README right here. But other than that, I want to make sure to pass it on to Adam. So let's add Adam.
Hello.
Hey.
Trying to prop my phone up. Still trying to get the whole screen thing to work.
Now you're all good. It's looks like it's working, so I'll go ahead.
I've not even got my lights on tonight. I've literally not left this chair since about 7 p.m.
Okay. Oh, well,
that's Discord. So I better hide this.
Discord. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait for you to pull up some good old tester.
Okay, here we go. I've lost it.
If you pull it up, I think in your localhost 19006, I think that should pull it up.
Yeah.
If you have the web version running.
Well, the reason is because I've got it on the tablet. I've got StreamYard on, and I've moved that to the other window. That's why. There we go. So I mean, it still doesn't completely work, but it's like
that's okay.
So basically, rather than it being colourful pillars, it's Blahaj bits as pillars.
You know what? I'm really here for that.
Because Blahaj or what is it they say? Blahaj or sunk? I don't know.
Blahaj or nothing? I'm not too sure. I think the only thing I would say is I wish it was like solid Blahaj, because otherwise you could run into a pipe and like not know, because it's like part of it's transparent.
Yeah, that's the only downside to it, but I mean, it's still beautiful.
Yeah, honestly, Blahaj is always beautiful. If y'all ever need something to bring up your spirits, a good old Blahaj, that's what does it. Yeah. So sorry, what were you saying?
I said always.
Yeah.
For some reason,
so-
though, it does break at random times. So
You know what?
well.
Maybe I don't know. That might be something that might be good to check out. Maybe see if that does it. If that's because it's like transparent or not.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? But
Mhm.
other than that, thanks for joining.
No
And
problem.
for anyone who doesn't have a guild yet, come join the House Gang with us. You can join a guild by going to that link down below that says join Discord, discord.mlh.io, and you can join the next guild that will be your little hacker family.
And just a bit of a sneak preview for people for tomorrow. Maybe if you want to see what all this is about, come join the stream at 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow,
Okay.
and you will understand.
That sounds great. I'll maybe tune in while I'm also kind of in class. But other than that, thank you everyone for joining, and I'll see y'all later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.